Hi everyone, it's Margaret Manning here. Welcome to 60 and Me. This is the place where women over 60 come to be inspired. My guest today is Jane Duncan Rogers. Jane has an organization called Before I Go Solutions. It's a nonprofit organization that helps people to design and create their end-of-life plan. Now, Jane is an author. She's written a book about this topic based on her own experience, and it's called Before I Go, The Essential Guide to Creating a Good End-of-Life Plan. And it's an amazing book. It takes you through all the different questions that you need to ask yourself or answer for yourself. So, Jane, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
It's great to have you here, and I'm so happy that we're discussing this topic. It's a delicate one. It's one, like you said, needs to be approached with tenderness and kindness, and I'm all for that. But there are some practical things that I think you offer with your book and your program, your Before I Go Solutions. I guess you would call it a program.
Yes.
And tell us about how that plays out, like what it is, what's the method, and how can it help someone deal with their fear of death?
Okay, so the Before I Go method is the program that I've developed over the last couple of years to take people through the process of completing their end-of-life plan. And the reason that there is a program at all is because even with the best of intentions, you buy a book, you go to a website, you decide that you're going to do things, most people don't actually get around to doing this kind of stuff.
It's touchy.
That's because it's really a hard thing to do all by yourself. So the courses that I've been running, I've now developed into the Before I Go method, and that right now is an online program in several modules that you access in your own time, or that you get given access to in your own to watch in your own time, and then you can join in if you want to a live coaching call once a week. Okay. And that means that you're doing it with other people. You're doing it with my help, or one of the graduates from my training program, one of their help. But at the moment, it's me. You can ask any questions there. You can share anything you like. We have a Facebook group that people join in and also share on during the week.
Great.
And the end result, because it's a very practical course and there is homework to do, is to enable you to get your end-of-life plan done, to get the conversations that you need to have started and continuing, and to get the answers to the questions that you need to have written down.
Yeah. And by doing that process, have you found through your experience that people start with perhaps I would say a fear or some kind of nervousness around approaching the topic of death and dying, that they come through at the end with more peace and more understanding, less fear?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's because it is quite a practical program. We are not going into the therapeutic side of this at all. We don't go into the emotional side of it, although that is possible. That touches a nerve for some people, and because of my background as a psychotherapist, that's fine, and I can deal with that, not a problem, and provide support for that. But actually, that's not what usually happens. What usually happens is that people just want to get this stuff attended to.
Yes.
And so we go through it in a methodical way with plenty of room for people to share their stories, which is really important, being able to share a story, and to ask questions and to discuss the kind of things that go on in the background that you need to think about in order to be able to plan well for a good end of life. Yeah.
Well, our community of 60 and Me is women over 60, and we're organizers, planners. We've lived life and we know how to cope with things. And I think that we have found that by dealing with something, the fear of something is worse than the doing the thing. The fear of anything. It's like getting up in front of a group of people to speak, or flying if you don't like that. But doing it is usually easier than the fear of doing it.
Definitely, and it definitely applies here as well. And I've often had that. In fact, somebody's coming to mind right now who she was really scared. She was the carer for both her parents, and she was really scared of bringing up this subject in case they thought that she wanted to get rid of them, which was the last thing that she wanted to do. But with the encouragement of the group and the other people, she went away, and that was her homework, to start a conversation. And in my new book, there is a whole chapter about how to do that, but we go into that on the course as well.
It's very useful. By the way, Jane, do you have a necklace on that you're clicking?
Oh,
clicking? I do this all the time. This is why I wear big necklaces up here. I have this habit of clicking my microphone. It's okay now. I think it's a beautiful necklace, by the way, that you're wearing, or whatever that.
I think what it is the mic is clicking against it. So I'll just hold it away.
Hold it away. No, it's just these little things that sometimes you're listening and then I can hear click, click. Anyway, no, this is really important. So I'm happy that you've described what this method is and how people can play. Now, the other thing I'll mention, though, for people that are saying, well, that's out of my range of, of whatever it's going to cost. But the book is there, and that goes through all the steps as well. So you can just
absolutely.
Buy the book. You don't have to do anything.
No, you don't have to do any more. If you read the book and take the actions as described in the book, you will have your end of life plan done.
Right.
And there is another option as well on the website, which is an actual workbook. That costs a little bit more than the book we're talking about here, but it's a fillable PDF with all the questions, and you just get to write them in. Now, that's there because some people want that choice. Mm-hmm. It means everything is in one place. And if you do that workbook as well, then your end of life plan is done as well. So the courses are there simply because, again, people with the best of intentions simply don't get this stuff done, because it's never, let's face it, it is never at the top of your list of priorities.
No, and it probably shouldn't be, actually. If you're living your life and having fun, you should. But there's a moment that I think you have to stop. And we've talked about this in other conversations, where you have to, you think about what you want to leave behind in terms of your legacy. And the greatest gift that you can give to your children and to your friends is to have thought this through, not to let them have to guess at the end what you want from your end of life and after death. So I think that's really, really important. So can I just clarify that the workbook is an online workbook?
It's a fillable PDF. So you go and you would download it as a PDF to your own computer. You could, of course, then print it out if you wanted to and just complete it by hand. Okay. But it is actually fillable on your computer or your device.
Okay, so you've got the book itself, you've got the workbook, and then you have the online courses. You also do a training program for people who want to take this message to their own community and perhaps do something consulting or counseling to in their own world.
And that's for people who are coaches or counselors or celebrants or a health professional of one kind or another who want to bring this before I go method to their own community in one way or another. Mm-hmm. So we have the next intake happening in the spring next year. And although there's nothing up on the website about it yet, there will be very soon. But if anybody's interested in finding out more, you just need to email me, Jane at beforeigosolutions.com, because I'm looking for people who are interested personally and professionally in this kind of area and want to be able to share and spread the word, because my mission is to have end of life plans become as normal as birth plans are, and that's quite a big mission. So I need a lot of people to help me spread the word. Well,
it is a big job, but the thing is, there's a ripple effect here that those people are affecting so many others, and it's not. It is a part-time job in that respect, because you can charge for your services. If you are a health professional, you're bringing to the table your own expertise and your training. But it's a really amazing gift that you can give back to your community or to a group of people that you are working with. And I don't think I ever told you this, actually, but I worked with Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and that was many, many years ago. But when I worked with her, we did these workshops called Life, Death, and Transition, and they were very much, in a way, what you're doing in the sense of bringing it to the surface, the conversation. But after that workshop, I wrote an article that went into The Guardian. This is 35 years ago. And The Guardian newspaper published it. And the postman delivered to me a black plastic bag full of letters.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. I was just a young mom at the time, and I really, it was a surprise. But the point I'm making here is there are people who want help here.
Yes.
And it's not gratuitous or like something they don't know. It's just they want a place to go, and it sounds like you're offering that.
Yeah, and it is. There's no doubt about it. It is easier to do this kind of stuff when you're in the company of other people doing the same thing, whether it is family or friends or even people that you don't know. It doesn't matter, because if it's people that you don't know, we have a common connection because we all want to address this, and that makes us feel close just by that. And then we listen and learn from their stories and their experiences as well. And all of that helps to make it just a lot easier and actually more enjoyable.
So in terms of the methodology, before I go methodology, can you just take a couple of minutes to just tell me or tell us what the buckets are, like what are those 5 modules, perhaps just even the titles of them, like what the categories are that people can expect to cover?
Yeah, so the course is actually 10 modules, but it's split into 2 sections. And section 1 is before death and section 2 is after death. And the reason for that is because quite a lot of people have their legal sides taken care of. So why would they need to do that kind of thing?
Right.
And other people they know exactly what they want for their funeral. So why would they need to do that? So it might be that you'd be interested in the whole thing, the whole 10 modules, or you might just be interested in the first 5. So I'm trying to be flexible here about what people can join or not. But we cover the basic 6 components of a good end-of-life plan, which are all the legals, that's the will, the power of attorney, and the advance decision or advance directive.
Right.
We cover the last day's wishes and the importance of knowing what it is that you want and communicating that. We cover the funeral stuff. We cover the digital life, which is getting more and more important these days. And we also cover the living legacy. I think I mentioned that before. This is where you think now about how it is that you want to be remembered.
You're clicking again. You're clicking.
Oh,
no, it's just, I can't hear your voice when you're clicking. Keep going.
Sorry.
No, don't. Please, okay. It's okay.
Let me say that again then about the legacy.
Yeah.
The living legacy is what you create now about how you want to be remembered after you have gone.
Right.
And that's really important. It's like people sometimes have heard about a memory box, but a living legacy takes it one step further. So, and then all of that has to be shared and written down. It's quite a big project.
It is a big project, but it's like everything else in life. Like it's like losing weight, just one step at a time, right?
Exactly.
Just take the first step, write the first page, the first word.
Yeah,
and then just have a drink, and then come back and write. And
exactly.
But I think that's really encouraging, though, that someone has thought about it. I mean, I know there are some groups and charities and other groups that do try to help people with this process. But what I love about what you're doing, Jane, is that you're making it very independent. Like women can do this on their own time, and you're just really giving them a vehicle, a tool.
Yeah, and a community to belong to if they want to be part of that community for however long that is important. Because, this is probably not going to be something that people are going to join forever, if you're not like the 60andMe community, because that applies, and no matter how old you are over 60.
Yeah, exactly.
But, with your end of life stuff, you join it for the time that you need it. And then all you have to do once it's done is that you keep it up to date. So, yeah.
Well, I hope that people have found this useful. And I mean, and we've talked about it in terms of how having an end-of-life plan can help you with your own fear of death, but share it with your family and with other people, with parents, perhaps, because I know a lot of women are going through that. And sadly, a lot of women are dealing with the loss of a husband or a partner like you did. Yeah. So this is bigger than just you. And it's like you said, it's life, let's live it fully and include this planning.
Yeah, and sometimes I've even had a mother and daughter or a couple come onto the course and do it together, and that can be extremely valuable because you're talking about it anyway. You might as well do it together.
Well, I know you went through that with your husband, and that's in fact, your first book, wasn't it? Gifted by Grief. And that's a very interesting title, because how can you be gifted by grief? But it turned out in your case and many people's to work for you.
Yeah. Well, I would never have imagined that I could ever have called it like that to start with. Yes. But it ended up being that I felt that both his life and his death had become a gift to me. And all of what I'm doing now with Before I Go Solutions would not have happened if he hadn't actually died in the way that happened. So I feel incredibly grateful.
I hope he knew that too.
Yeah, I think so. Well, we were fortunate in that we had some time together before he actually died. So we were able to really appreciate and feel gratitude for each other in that time. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for being so open about your own experiences and how Before I Go Solutions came about and what you're offering. I think that's really important that people know they're not alone. So thank you so much, Jane.
Okay. Thank you too.
Thank you. Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our 60andMe YouTube channel and also visit our website. We are a strong and dynamic community of women over 60. We're challenging aging stereotypes, and every day we share fascinating stories, interesting questions, and great conversation.